Hi guys, good morning. If you're in US, sorry, good evening if you're in US or Europe, and good morning if you are in Asia, Southeast Asia. It's very early morning, but I think there are a few guys will be awakened. And who are not awakened, for them, I think they can watch my recorded live later in the day. So let us discuss at what we are trying to achieve today. Hope you're able to hear me clearly. Let me check the voice quality if everything is coming good or not. So I'm going live on simultaneously on multiple channels. Hello guys. Good morning. So I'm just checking the voice quality. If the voice quality is good enough, I think then we can go live. So just be patient with me for some moments. I just want to check the voice once. I'm just checking the voice quality. If the voice quality is good enough, I think then go live. I think it's all good. So we'll just begin now. So the main objective I'm here today is that to show you how to work on SQL, how to work on SQL, to how to work on SQL with time series analysis. So generally the challenge is the challenge we face in creating the input, the forecasting input, is that how much of the data we create, how much data, right? How much of data we create within the database, how much the features, or how much extra, how much of data means how much of features apart from the raw data which we can create in the database. That is one of the big challenge any creator can face, because we cannot depend everything. We cannot actually create everything on the Python, or if you're working on the Python environment, we cannot depend entirely on the Excel environment. If we want the Excel, something we have to create. We have to create as much of the features uh, and some of the computations within the SQL. So I am right now. I'm trying to create one of the computations, which is part of the time series analysis. And of course, this is a very simple computations. If you talk about if you ask any forecasting guy, forecasting professionals or demand planners, it's a very simple calculation, that is moving average. So it's a very, very simple calculation, but how to do in SQL, that's something I want to see. Maybe it is not, this video may not be very useful for the expert people, but people who are working in who are the beginners in the SQL, or who are having a medium experience or little experience in the SQL, right? They can actually get the benefit out of this. And if you already have a good understanding about the SQL and how and working on time series analysis within the SQL, this may not be very useful for you, but of course it's very useful for people who are beginners in SQL and who are new to working with the time series analysis in the SQL, right? So what I'll do is that, first I'll create a table. I'll create a table here. The table name is, let's say, sales. Let's time series. So I'm going to create a table in time series, and I'm going to let me run this. Okay, so we have to create our uh, so for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create my constraints. I'm going to create my columns, and I have to create a metadata here. So to create the metadata, I'll go to the folder where the file is stored. This is my test data over here. If you look at in this particular file, I have four columns here, and I'm going to copy these four columns, and I'm going to create a metadata for these columns in the. So my product file is a text file. I'm going to mention text. My category file is also a text file. I'm going to mention text. My date file is having a date type, and my sales data is having a numeric data type. Right. So let us create this table now. The table has been created now. So we have a table here, and the table has four columns, and each column has its own data type. If I want to run this, and let me see, if I want to show you the metadata here, so I can run this using a command called select star, and from time series, you know what is star? Star means using including all the columns. So I'm going to include all the columns, and I'm going to run this. Now I have here my metadata. We're showing here the product text, category text, date is date type, sales, and numeric type. So now what I want to do, I want to copy this, copy a file, and let me write copy table, time series. Probably may have to delete this, okay, and then I have to write from. I'm going to put my the file path inside this. For this, I'm going to go the file and go to security and copy this file path and come back to my SQL database and paste over here. So there's one thing I have to do here. This file is Excel file. I will convert this into a CSV file. So I'll go back to this file again and convert this into CSV U2 CSV UTF-8. That's the encoding type. I'm going to take this and save this file again the same location. I'll go back to the same folder and again find the test. So I'll get two different files from the test, I think. Yeah, two different files. The first file is they have different formats. Let's see. So 497 bytes. So this is my CSV file. Again, I'll go to the properties from here, click on security, and I'll copy this path from here. And this is my path, and I'm going to go to the my database, and I'm going to create the path here. Right. So the path has been copied, pasted, and my delimiter is your comma delimiter, and my CSV has headers. I'm going to run this. Let me see whether it works or not. Maybe I think copy table is, we have to remove the table from here. So let me run this again. Okay, so see the file is now working. I'm going to run this table, once I want to display my table. So my table has been, is displayed here. So the copy of this file has been done successfully into the table time series. So what is the objective? The objective is to create a moving average column. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just show before we go to the moving average column, I'm going to use the technique of group by. Right? We'll go one by one. So I'm going to select product category, or let's category, and we will also go date, and I'm going to use the average of the sales. Right? From I'm going to use from time series. Right? And I'm going to use group by. Group by. I'm going to use group by all of them. Right? Let me run this. So what is the summarized view of this table? Let us see that. So this is a summarized view, and I have to also use one other aspect, that is order by. Right? Order by. I'll use date. So let me run this now. So now we have a data which is by date. So the lowest date will be on the top and the highest date will be on the bottom. Right? So the first means whatever happens first, it will be whatever transaction happen on the first, it will be on the top, and whatever transactions happen in the last, it will be on the last. So of course we have to do one more thing here. So let me put round comma 2. Let me run this again. So I'm just trying to round off the values. So the values have been round off, right? So we got a round off values here. So this is what we got after summarizing here, the summarized view of the data. So if you don't want to summarize, so then that works fine for us. Right now we have 24 rows. Let me do the summarize. Let me see the view without summarization. I have 24 views, 24 rows. So there is no difference between summarized the data and unsummarized data, because both have 24 rows. There's no differences coming after doing summarization. So what I'm going to do now is I have to work on creating a time series data, right? I have my objective is to calculate moving average. Moving average, let's say 3 periods. This is my objective. So how to calculate the moving average for 3 periods in SQL or over the sales quantity, right? So I'm going to write select statement again, select, and I'm going to select my product. I'm going to select my category. I'm going to select my date, right? I'm going to select my sales. I'm going to write the average of sales, and this average of sales, and now I have to do partition. So I'm going to use over partition by product, right? I'm going to partition this by product. I can also do partition by product and category, but let's work on the product partition by product. And also I will I'll do this order by date, right? So the lowest date will be on the top and the highest will be at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a row number here. Instead of row number, we can actually operate in 2 ways. I will first explain you without row number. Then I'm going to do so we have done average sales over partition by and order by date, and we want rows between. Let me take a new line. rows between, so let me say two preceding and let me make three preceding and sorry, three preceding and one preceding. And I'm going to give a name for this column as moving average. And I'm going to write from time series. Okay, so what I've done is that so there is a, suppose I'm at this particular row. Okay, so how many rows I have to go top, and at what row I have to stop to calculate my average quantity, right? For example, if I run this particular run this round average. Let's run this first, then we'll come back here. So if you look at here, so we took so this is what, how the moving average has been calculated here. So same thing we can actually try in another way. So let's say I'm going to calculate, select product, category, date, sales, okay, and I'm going to take row number. So row number has to be calculated, row number, and this row number has to be calculated under the partition by. So over partition by, so I'll say product, order by, date, okay, from time series. Let me run this code again. So what we're going to achieve here is a row number, how many rows we have. If you cluster this data by product, so there is an error here. The product, there is spelling mistake. So let me say where is the product spelling mistake? PRODUCT, PRODCT, PRO does not column, PRODUCT. Category dates. Okay, so we made a mistake in the product spelling. So I'm going to improve this product spelling. So let me run this code again. So we got this. So if you look at here, for product A1, we have 5 different rows, right? So it's giving us 5 different rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For product A10, we have one single row. For product A2, we have two different rows. For product A3, we have 4 different sequences. So right now we have a row number, and so what it is looking is that this is looking at the row number for each different product, and based upon the row number, it is going to compute the moving average. Suppose if I'm at this particular point, right, and from this it is going to calculate how many rows we are in the above, right? I want, suppose here, so 3 rows above, 1, 2, 3, right? And the calculation starts from 48 and it has to stop at 173. So it means I have to take the average of 48, 137, 173. So three rows preceding, and the first value should pick from 3 row preceding, and the last value should stop at 1 row preceding from this point. That is what we are trying to achieve from here, right? So, but the problem here is that the calculation we are trying to group this row number by product, right? So what we can do this group, we can do this particular rule grouping for, let me say I take only product from here instead of all of them. and I take the date also, product date and sales, right? I'm taking product date and sales, and I am now using, sorry, I'm now using product dates and sales, and I'm going to remove this. I'm going to calculate here, same thing. What I want to calculate this one, average sales. I'm going to use here for partition by product, order by date, rows between. Now let's see these computations. So what I did, I excluded category from here. That's the only difference. And I want to have date. I want to have date because we have to, we have to take this. We have to sort the date because the calculation has to happen in a time series way. Means the lowest date and the highest date, they should be separated by equal numbers, equal gap. That's another constraint we need to have. So that's why I'm taking the date inside. Sorry. I'm going to run this code now. So there is one error here. Let's see what is the error. Okay, there's a dot here. It should be comma. Let me run this code again. So again, there is a problem. So I said product date, sales, average sales over partition by. Let's see what is the problem here. So product, then we have a date, we have comma, we have okay, we don't have a comma here, so I have to put the comma. Let me run the code again. So now we are getting the value, right? So the first is coming null. So now second, if you look at, let me also put the row number here. Let me also put the row number. So this will give us a clarity about what is the row number. So I created one more column, and that is a row number. Let me see what is the output we're getting. So if you look at here, I have an output here. So this is one A1 till up to this 5. We have 5 instances of A1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is showing here? So if you look at here now, if you do the average of 48 plus 37, so row number 3. So 48 is what we're getting over here. So 137 plus 48, right? So coming 48 here. So now it is going to do the computation from, okay, so 192 over here. So if you do the calculations, we get like this. So this is like a moving average calculations. So we can further refine this. We can further refine this particular code. So in this time, I'm going to take this entire data and I'm going to remove the product, or I can just partition by date, right? Let me run this code again. And this time we are only doing partition by date. Let's see what happens. Okay. This time we see that we have all unique values. There is no multiple sequences over here. So this is one thing we achieved, because when we did our partitioning by date, we got this particular thing. Now we can so what this is calculating is now. So let me also do one thing. Now I'm going to put the preceding values 2 and between 1. I already explained how to do this. So let me run this again. Okay. So let me run one more instance. So select product, date, sales. Now I'm going to use one more column, case when, row number, case when, let's say count of, row number, okay, over partition by, let's say product, order by date, case when row number over partition by is less than equal to 3, okay, is less than 3, then I want null. Else I want average of sales, average of sales over partition by product, order by date, and as then, okay, less than 3, then less than 3, then null. Sorry, less than 3, then we are, did we mention that null? Yeah, null and else already there. Null and else already there. So we are going to mention and as moving average from time series. So I'm giving a constraint now. If the number of columns, the number of row numbers is less than 2 or less than 3, so what we have to do, less than 3, we have to change our calculation methodology. Right? So let's run this. So wherever we are getting null, then reason null because the count of row numbers is less than 3. That's why we are getting over here. If you look at the count of row number is less than 3, so we are getting one null, second is null, and at third we're getting the average of 48, 137, 173. That's equal to 119, right? So let me further improve this. Further improve this query, so I'm going to do average sales for partition by and order by date. Now I'm also going to mention rows between three preceding, three, two preceding, and one preceding. Right. So I just made the query more complicated this time, and let's see whether right. So this is working beautifully now. I also have to put here the round. Okay, I don't round will not work here. So this is how we are actually calculating the moving average when the number of periods is more than three, or we want to start our calculation from when the number of periods are more than three or more than two, right? So that's what we want to start, and it's giving us the calculations based upon that. Now it's giving null because if the row number is one here, it's getting null here because here getting null because row number is one, getting null, row number is one, so that's why getting null here. If you look at here, row number one, row number two, the is null, but row number three for A3 we're getting the value. For A3 is we're getting 120 because it is row number four, and for A4 we're getting the null because of row number one. So we can change this query again. So wherever we have one value, we just get exactly the same value. But also we can modify this, right? So there's nothing to worry about this. So we can further modify this query to get to replace the values of null, right? So what I'm going to do, instead of null, I'm going to put sales, right? So I'm just removing the null from there. I'm putting the sales. Instead of null, I want the sales value. See, now we're getting the sales value here. So 48, 48, 130, 17. This is the average of these three values based upon the A1 grouping, right? So A1 grouping. This is only grouping for A1. Now this is for so we could 155 here earlier. So this is A3. We have four data points. So for A3, the first data point is 177 because this is this we don't need to get average for this because the row number is one, and this is like A3, the row number two, right? So this we don't need this. But moment you go to A3 third value, we're getting an average of 177, 77, and 164. For A3, we're getting an average of 77, 164, 191. Right? So preceding values, I think one preceding, right? So this is average of these two. Average of these two is 120. The average of 177.70 is 127. So the preceding values is two values preceding from here, that is 177, and one value preceding from 127 is 77. So it's taking an average of 177, 77, giving us 127. The average of 77 and 164, 120, because the preceding values are the two preceding values. Second preceding value is 77, and the first preceding value is 164. So we can modify our queries like this and create our moving average calculations very well. And we can also not only moving average, we can calculate single exponential, double exponential, triple exponential, exponential models in SQL, and uh, and that also in an optimized manner. So for optimization, we have to create separate values for hyperparameters or weightages. So those optimized values has to be transferred inside the SQL. So we can optimize those weightages and hyperparameters in the Python or somewhere else, or some other tools we have, and bring those hyperparameters inside the table in SQL. And you should have a live table. Means whenever you run the Python, the values from the optimized values from the hyperparameter from the Python should go to the table, and table should always get the latest value, so that whenever the data changes or the sales changes, the hyperparameter will also change. So those hyperparameters should be transferred into the SQL. So like this, you can create a lot of info within SQL. You don't and connect the SQL to various other hosting platforms like Power BI or your applications directly, and compute your and display your forecast. So guys, this is something about how to work on moving average using using Windows function like row number and average calculation we have used. So we have used Windows function here to compute this. I just give a small demo of a small data using time. Just so the small data which I've used is this one time series. I give you an example how to create table and this metadata, how to copy the CSV file inside this table. This is a code which I gave you like copy time series from the CSV file. Delimiter is comma and CSV header, and then we just check the grouping and non-grouping values. So number of columns were same, and then what we did, we use different kind of simulations to run our moving average. So in case if you want to work, if you want any consulting support, any product support, product development support, training support for your team, for your company, you can contact over to me on krishnaidu at mathanal.tech, or you can also message me on the LinkedIn, or you can WhatsApp me. You can WhatsApp me over +9 799 365 1356. So you can also WhatsApp me, or you can email me, or best way is that you can connect me on the LinkedIn. I always respond within few minutes, whether it is an email or WhatsApp or LinkedIn. So always I'm on the app. So let's look forward to help you support your team and create wonderful products, consulting and training services for your company. Thank you very much and look forward to you.